Being lazy is not something that you are unable to overcome. It is not a personality trait, and you can absolutely become disciplined no matter how lazy you think you are. Today you're going to learn how to finally stick to things, how to make and keep commitments to yourself, and how to actually follow through so that way you can see the kind of success that you desperately want deep in your heart. We're going to get you out of that cycle of wanting something, being inspired, going all in for a short period, burning out, quitting, and then feeling shame. We're not doing that anymore. And I know what I'm talking about because I've definitely been there before myself, and for longer than I'd care to admit. But I turned it around, and I'm excited to teach you how to do that for yourself, because for as good as it feels in the moment to give in to your laziness, I want you to be able to learn how to experience what actual self-love and discipline feels like. The act of discipline is what allows you to actually do the things that you set out to do, even when you're feeling lazy or indecisive. And like I said, I really had to learn discipline. It was not a personality trait that came naturally to me. I had to learn it, put it in practice, fail a few hundred times, get back up, but slowly but surely it became who I am today. Well, most days, because I am actually still a human who lives in the real world. Achieving consistency and discipline is such a common struggle, and it's way more common than the flip side. So above all else, I want to make sure that you don't feel alone or don't feel any shame, and that's actually something that we're going to talk more about in a few minutes. And always, it's important to me that I show up for you with practical tips that you can actually implement in your life rather than just giving you an overwhelming information download. So you'll find those in today's video, mostly towards the end, so make sure that you stick around for that. Hi and welcome. I'm Amanda, a busy full-time working mom, and I teach women just like you how to thrive in your feminine energy despite all the masculine demands in your life. And below you'll find a link to sign up for my free weekly newsletter where I share simple tips to get you more aligned with your feminine energy. I share encouragement and anything under the sun that will help make your life easier, more enjoyable, and help you get more aligned with yourself and your dream life. Now let's get into how to go from lazy to disciplined. And the first thing that we need to do is to clearly define discipline and possibly even reframe how you currently think about it. Because discipline is generally something that falls under the characteristics of masculine energy, because it's more or less something that you don't really want to do but have to force yourself to. And that's true. When we're powering through in order to be disciplined, that is us being in our masculine energy, and that is normal, even for the most aligned woman in her feminine energy. No matter how aligned you are in your feminine energy, there will always be masculine demands, right? Because that's life. That's the very concept of my whole message and mission, why I'm here. I help you be in your feminine energy despite the masculine demands of your life, because they exist and we're not getting away from them. But that's not all that discipline is, because at its core, discipline is self-love and self-respect. Very feminine. View discipline as self-love and self-respect. You are pulling up and showing up for yourself, doing what you promised yourself you would do. And that is inherently feminine. Feminine energy isn't about always being gluttonous and indulgent. It's not aligned with feminine energy to show yourself disrespect in that way. So when we're talking about discipline today, that's what it is. Discipline is loving and respecting yourself enough to push through the discomfort in the short term in order to be the best version of yourself and live the best version of your life possible. And to be clear, we are not encouraging toxic discipline. Toxic discipline is sleeping 4 hours a night to grind and hustle yourself to death. It's starving yourself to be healthy. We don't do that here. We take genuine care of ourselves because we love and respect ourselves. We may give up other toxic habits like doom scrolling or drinking too much alcohol so that way we can be disciplined in loving ways that ensure we're giving our body enough rest and nutrients and have time to read our favorite book. If I had to give my own definition for discipline, it's the act of keeping promises to yourself. But I want to add the caveat that those promises must be made realistically, not only as it pertains to realistic capability and technical possibility, but also realistic in how you can be happy while keeping these promises to yourself. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Another note on these promises is that they need to be realistic so that way you can follow through, because that is the defining factor for building confidence and self-trust, which we'll also get to more in a minute. It's important to note that being disciplined is not about being disciplined 100% of the time. Nothing in life works like that. It's about what you do and how you do things most of the time that really matters and shape what your life looks like. And building discipline is a gradual process, and it builds upon itself over time. The more you practice and succeed at being disciplined, the more easy and natural it becomes. It's a muscle that you need to exercise. When it comes down to it, discipline is self-care. It's actually the truest form of self-care because it's taking responsibility for yourself and your life. It means proactively addressing your physical, emotional, and mental needs, because central to effective self-care is self-awareness, which allows you to recognize your emotions, your needs, your triggers, and enables you to make informed decisions about your well-being. And during moments of resistance, practicing self-awareness means pausing to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, identifying the underlying causes of reluctance, and using helpful tools like maybe journaling or mindfulness to navigate and overcome these barriers. Hot tip, yoga is my crutch. Honestly, if I'm having a crappy day and I give myself self-care in the way of yoga and I do a 20-minute practice, it completely turns my day around. And so I am a diehard yoga fan because of what it has done for me mentally. And that all leads nicely into the point of how important emotional regulation is as it relates to discipline. Biologically, your brain will always seek comfortability and familiarity, but your job is to push against the immediate comfort in order to push yourself to become more disciplined so that you can embrace discomfort, because that is what will actually serve you, rather than just soothe you in the moment. And for the record, soothing in this context can mean something as simple as doom scrolling or procrastinating with anything, really. And what we don't always realize is that procrastination often masks underlying fears, preventing us from taking action due to fear of failure or uncertainty or inadequacy. And it's so important that you don't let discomfort or negative feelings stop you, because these are just emotions, they're alerts, they're not final decisions, and your job is to recognize them but to not give in to them. That is at its core essentially what discipline is. But now let's move on to something a little lighter, making discipline fun and enjoyable, because finding joy in your daily habits is essential for long-term success. While short-term joy might come from instant gratification, long-term joy often comes from meaningful, sustained activities that contribute to your well-being. So, to incorporate joy into your daily habits, focus on activities that genuinely make you happy and align with your goals, like finding forms of exercise or healthy recipes that you actually really love, rather than doing the more intense workouts or the diets that you think you should be doing to get the quickest results. Evaluate everything you do, not just for immediate pleasure or even success, but for long-term satisfaction and sustainability that they bring. Romanticize mundane tasks by creating a motivating environment, one that aligns with you and activates your feminine energy, even when you're working on things that are more likely to pull you into your masculine energy. You can do this by lighting a candle, playing your favorite music, making your office a space that you love and feels personal to you. And simple shifts like this can make even the most routine masculine activities enjoyable and help you stay consistent. And therefore, you'll find it easier to maintain your habits and achieve lasting success. It's things like this that help to make being disciplined feel a little bit easier and more enjoyable. But what actually makes discipline feel easy is when you make it a part of your identity and your self-concept. Aligning with your goals really starts with shaping your self-concept. We act in line with who we think we are. So if you identify as someone who never skips a workout, you'll be more consistent. If you identify as a lazy person, you will act like a lazy person. It sounds overly simple, but that's really all that there is to it. It's only hard when that isn't your actual self-concept. And I have a video where I talk a lot more about this, which you can check out here once you finish this one, because there is a lot to it, even though it's actually a super simple concept. Another key piece here is to establish consistent routines, because consistent action over time will always yield better results than sporadic bursts of unsustainable effort. By seeing yourself as a dedicated and reliable person, you naturally adopt habits that support your long-term success. So let's keep it going with the mindset talk. Here is inevitable, but it's really just a stepping stone. It is not a dead end, and you have to embrace mistakes as valuable lessons that propel you forward and allow you to level up. Be kind to yourself and give yourself grace. It is a fine balance, right, of being disciplined but also giving yourself grace, because we talked about earlier, discipline is a form of self-love, arguably the truest form of self-love, but it's crucial that you have balance. But it's crucial to balance discipline with self-compassion, because while discipline is a form of self-love, so is giving yourself grace when necessary. So don't dwell on moments of perceived failure, but instead acknowledge them as part of the journey. And that might sound a little crazy, but it is so true, genuinely. How do you expect to arrive anywhere amazing and wonderful if you get there on a road full of shame and self-loathing? And having regret over wasted time spent not pursuing your dreams is natural, but remember, the best time to take control is always today. And as the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, but the second best time to plant a tree is today. So reward yourself for showing up, for striving, and for embracing the journey that you're on today and tomorrow and for the rest of your life, however imperfect it may be, regardless of whatever your past looked like. Now, I mentioned earlier briefly that confidence and discipline go hand in hand, and here's how. Confidence stems from honoring your commitments to yourself, because when you consistently follow through on what you say you'll do, it strengthens your self-reliance and therefore your self-concept, ultimately boosting your confidence. And as you demonstrate to yourself your capability to stick to promises over time, you'll find it easier to maintain discipline. And remember, the journey and the growth along the way are what truly gives success its meaning. And it's cliche, but as cliches so often are, so damn true, the real value is found in the journey, not in arriving at the destination. So prove to yourself that you can do it one commitment at a time and watch your confidence soar. What's also really special is that the more that you show yourself, the more you will do. So you think that your stretch goals are XYZ, but what you don't realize right now is that just by way of striving for those goals, you will become conditioned as the person who is equipped and able to achieve even more than you can imagine today. And now for the practical tips. To keep your motivation high, always remember your why, the reason behind your goals. This is what will keep you going, and you have to remind yourself of this on a daily, sometimes hourly basis. Feeling overwhelmed by numerous aspirations is common, so focus on prioritizing what truly matters to you right now. Set clear, realistic, and trackable goals using the SMART method for clarity, and that means that they are smart, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Then break those goals down into manageable steps, working in shorter increments like 3 months to maintain momentum. I may have big lifelong dreams, but my goals are always planned in quarters, because anything longer than that, and you can't really break them down enough for them to be effective. And you'll also want to explore productivity hacks tailored to your preferences and how your brain works. And there are a million, and this isn't a video about productivity, so do your own research, but here are some examples. You could look into the Pomodoro technique, habit stacking, or tackling the hardest task first. I have a hard time with that one, and it's one that I'm working on because I'm a big fan of checking off all the little things before I get to the big, super important thing. So I'm trying to flip that around and take care of the biggest, hardest thing that I have to do first, and then I can do all the easier things, like fold my laundry while I catch up on Grey's Anatomy. You'll also want to combat distractions by removing them and instead offer activities that provide genuine dopamine boosts, like exercise and spending time outdoors over the fleeting satisfaction of doom scrolling. My hope is that you're starting to see that you can become more disciplined and you can do it in a way that feels good and improves your life rather than drains you. Show up for yourself, do the things that you set out to do, and keep your promises. You've got this. Don't forget to check the description box below for the link to sign up for my free weekly newsletter where I share simple tips to help you get in your feminine energy. I share encouragement and anything under the sun that will help make your life easier and more enjoyable and get you more aligned with yourself and your dream life. And next, I recommend this video all about the 5 no BS things that I implemented in my life that actually truly changed it. And now I'd love to hear from you. So please share your thoughts and experiences with discipline in the comments below, because your insights could really help someone else on their journey to leaving their lazy girl era behind and become more disciplined. I look forward to talking to you next time, and I thank you so much for being here. And be sure to subscribe for more videos about embracing your feminine energy and living the life of your dreams. Stay aligned.